Development and Industrial Corporation of Boston Board Meeting. At this time, the Boston Planning and Development Agency is hosting public meetings in a hybrid setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of Boston residents. Hybrid means that our board meetings are conducted in person at City Hall, in our boardroom on the 9th floor, and virtually via Zoom and Boston City TV. For more information and updates, visit bostonplans.org. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston's Office of Cable Communications at Xfinity Channel 26, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 962. It's also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. If there's anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting, we ask that you please identify yourself now. Okay, hearing and seeing none. Thank you. To begin the meeting, we'll start a roll call. Ms. Bennett.
Present.
Mr. Shepherd.
Present.
Mr. O'Malley.
Present.
And the chair is present. Okay. Right. Item number 1. Request authorization for the approval of the minutes of the April 10th, 2025 board meeting. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 2. Request authorization to extend the lease with the City of Boston Transportation Department for the use of Suite 105 at 12 Channel Street and the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park for a term of 5 years, commencing July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2030, with one 5-year term renewal option. Maureen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. In autumn 2014, the bridge to Long Island failed, forcing the closure of the Boston Public Health Commission's Long Island shelter. To address the critical shortage of beds and emergency indoor shelter, the City of Boston renovated a city-owned building on Southampton Street, which was occupied by the Boston Transportation Department. As a result, BTD moved into 12 Channel Street and has been a tenant since then. BTD currently occupies Suite 105, which is approximately 10,000 square feet of space on the first floor. BTD's existing 5-year lease expires on June 30th, 2025. In addition to Suite 105, BTD was permitted to utilize 50 parking spaces for personal vehicles and 20 parking spaces for commercial vehicles, all subject to availability. Due to the public service nature of this occupancy, no fee was proposed. However, BTD pays Eversource for electricity used in the suite. At this time, staff proposes a 5-year term with a 5-year option term. The lease term will commence on July 1st, 2025, and expire on June 30th, 2030. Due to the public service nature of the occupancy, no fee again is proposed. However, BTD will continue to pay Eversource for electricity used. Staff is recommending that the director be authorized to extend the lease agreement with Boston Transportation Department for Suite 105 at 12 Channel Street for a 5-year term with the 5-year option term. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Maureen. Any questions or comments from the board? All right, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett.
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Maureen. Item number 3, request authorization to issue an invitation for bids for the inspection, testing, servicing, and full preventive maintenance of fire alarm equipment at 12 Channel Street and 12 Dry Dock Street in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park for a contract term of 3 years with 2 1-year term renewal options. Lauren.
Good afternoon. I'm here before you today to request that the EDIC be permitted to solicit bids pursuant to Chapter 30B of the Massachusetts General Laws to advertise for inspection, testing, servicing, and full preventative maintenance of fire alarm equipment at the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Industrial Park. The scope of services includes routine inspections, resets, and testing, as well as emergency services as needed. The IFB will be publicly advertised with local newspapers, on the BPDA's website, the statewide Combi system, the State Goods and Services Bulletin, and through other channels as appropriate. The resulting contract will be awarded to the responsible and responsive bidder with the lowest bid price. The awarded contract will be for a term of 3 years, with 2 single option years to be exercised at the sole discretion of the BPDA. Funding for this project will be from the BPDA's fiscal year 26 operating budget, and the cost is not expected to exceed $150,000 for the initial 3-year term. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Pretty straightforward, thank you. Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote, Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
Right, item number 4, request authorization to execute the contract renewal with Blackbaud for use of Financial Edge NXT software for 12 months, commencing May 7th, 2025, and ending on May 6th, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $60,129.72. Amina.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen. My name is Amina Scott. I am the Deputy Controller for the Planning Department. Today, I'm requesting your authorization for the Director to execute a one-year contract renewal with Blackbaud to continue use of our Financial Edge accounting software in the amount of $60,129.72. Blackbaud continues to meet the operational and compliance needs of the Finance Department, particularly as we prepare for the FY27 budget cycle and ongoing audit requirements. This renewal allows us to maintain financial continuity while continuing to elevate our long-term software strategy. We respectfully request approval to move forward with this 12-month renewal. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? I think it's a pretty solid system, very familiar with it. So, great. Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote, Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Thanks, Amina. Item number 5, request authorization to execute a contract with Greenman Peterson Incorporated for engineering design services in connection with streetscape improvement projects at the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park in an amount not to exceed $500,000. William.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Good afternoon. I am here requesting authorization to execute an engineering contract with Greenman Peterson, Inc., we know them as GPI, for the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park Streetscape Improvements Project. This is part of an effort to transfer all of our roadways within the Marine Park to the City of Boston. We've been in conversations with them for about 18 months now. Through that engagement, we have identified some initial projects that will definitely have to happen before we make that transfer. So this effort is to do the final assessment of those projects, the design permitting, so we can get those into construction. We issued the RFP April 7th of this year. We had more than 40 interested parties download the solicitation. We only had one proposal received, though, however, on April 23rd, but that was from GPI, who we're very confident in working with. Their fee proposal was for $500,000. That is the amount of the recommended contract amount today, $500,000. It'll be funded from the FY25 capital budget with funding from the City of Boston's capital plan. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Questions or comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. So is this mainly for sort of engineering work, and like might be changing how roads go? Will there be some trees, sort of flowers, landscape as well included?
Mostly infrastructure related. We need to make sure that the sidewalks are wide enough to meet current city standards. We have some intersections that we need to shorten the crossing distance just a little bit. And there are going to be some tree improvements that we can make as well. So really just bringing everything up to city standards. And this is phase 1. As we continue with the dialogue with the City of Boston, we anticipate more projects being determined as necessary, but there's still a lot of negotiation around that. So we're trying to get a head start on the projects there's agreements on.
Great, thank you.
Okay. How do you, from a budgeting perspective, you usually come with a number that is really hard for me to read, like it's very specific. So, so the $500,000. Again, can you just give me some, since we didn't get a bunch of we had downloads but not a bunch of applications, right? Still one. Can you tell me a little bit about what you did to market rate? Does that make sense? Is this one that yeah, we think this is gonna for the scope of work, or do we expect project changes and different things? I mean, obviously. But.
Absolutely. The entire budget is $5 million for this initial phase of work.
Got it.
We actually specified that the engineering fee should not exceed $500,000. And as we implement these individual projects, we'll be tracking them on an hourly basis, and the contract has all of the design hours that will be charged to the project.
Okay, cool. All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so
much.
Item number 6, request authorization to execute a joint architecture engineering services contract with selected firms for House Doctor Architectural and Engineering Services on an as-needed basis for EDIC-owned properties citywide for a term of 3 years with 90-day extension options and for a total combined contract amount not to exceed $1,800,000 with separate contracts for EDIC-owned and BRA-owned properties awarded. Star.
Madam Chair, I did want to take a moment and introduce you to our next presenter, Star Laws. She's the Assistant Deputy Director for Capital Construction. She's been with us for 3 years in the Program Manager role. She's more recently joined us in this management role, and I hope you'll see more of her in the future.
Yeah. I was like, wonder why you're still standing there. I'm like, you're sorry. I'm like,
You're not
Star,
Star.
welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. I am here today to request authorization to execute contracts with selected firms for the House Doctor Architectural and Engineering Services. These will come as a as-needed basis for the BRA properties. We will ask before you in December of 2024, requesting authorization to authorize this RFQ work. The services help support site assessments, engineering, design, permitting, and urgent repairs. And since 2022, the House Doctor contracts have supported 48 projects across the portfolio, and this work would be at China Trade Center, the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park, and Charlestown Navy Yard. The contracts are expected to expire at the end of June, and these new contracts will be like before a 3-year term, like with the optional 90-day extension. We advertised the RFQ February 24th, received 250 interested parties. From that, we had 70 qualified packages come to us, and on April 1st, the Design Selection Committee reviewed all of those. From that, we have 25 firms across 13 categories. And from that 25, 8 are WMBEs, so we are very excited and proud about that. Funding would start the beginning of this fiscal year, FY26, with the allocation of $600,000, with a total of $1.8 million across the BRA and EDIC for the 3 years. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? I do just want to say I'm such a big fan of the strategy of the house doctoring strategy and the way that we have made modifications to how we approach the maintenance and ongoing, but also the reactive maintenance that we know our properties need. So just communicating that. If there are no other further questions and comments, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Great job, Star. And finally, personnel. Mike?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Secretary, and Director Shen. We have one item for your consideration on the EDIC agenda with the exact details included in the board memos. We have one contract in the Urban Design Division, Grace Ng. And that is it. If any questions, answer any questions you may have.
All right. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Mike. All right. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. All right. We'll now move over to the next portion of the meeting. Thank you for joining the May 15th, 2025 Boston Redevelopment Authority Board Meeting. At this time, the Boston Planning and Development Agency is hosting public meetings in a hybrid setting for the health, safety, and accessibility of Boston residents. Hybrid means that our board meetings are conducted in person at City Hall in our boardroom on the 9th floor and virtually via Zoom. And also by Boston City TV, all at the same time. For more information and updates, visit bostonplans.org. The Open Public Meeting Law requires that I notify the public that this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that an audio and visual recording of this meeting is being made and broadcast by Boston City TV, which is a part of the City of Boston Office of Cable Communications at Xfinity Channel 26, RCN Channel 13, and Verizon Fios Channel 962. It's also being live streamed at boston.gov/cable. Now, if there's anyone in the audience who is recording this meeting, we ask that you please identify yourself now. Okay, seeing none. I would like to notify that the public that the board will enter into an executive session at the end of today's meeting, and this portion will not be public. So to start this meeting, I will begin the roll call. Ms. Bennett?
Present.
Mr. Shepherd?
Present.
Dr. Landsmark?
Present.
Mr. O'Malley?
Present?
And the chair, Priscilla Rojas, I'm present. So, before we go to the first item on the agenda, I want to recognize that we have Counselor Flynn in the audience and offer you the floor should you like to give any comments on any projects we have.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the board, to the director, to the chair, to the vice chair, and to the secretary, and to the rank and file team at the planning department. I have great respect for the work that you do every day for the residents of Boston. I also want to acknowledge my former colleague, Councilor O'Malley, who's an outstanding colleague, but I also want to acknowledge a longtime friend that I've greatly admired in the city for 40 years, Ted Landsmark. Madam Chair, may I speak on the downtown Boston site on Holly Street?
Please.
Okay. Again, thank you to members of the board. I am here today in person regarding the Holly Street proposal in the downtown neighborhood that I represent. In my opinion, the proposal was not yet ready for the board, with outstanding issues that still needed to be resolved. I was working closely with the mayor's office. I was working with Sheila Dillon as it relates to possibly having an opportunity for veterans, especially women veterans, giving them an opportunity, maybe, to live at this site. I'd also like to thank the development team for being receptive to this issue. The development team is in support of this. I think Sheila Dillon's team is in support of this, and I think the BPDA team is in support of this. I'm just asking for more time so I can try to see if there's an opportunity for us to get women veterans, the highest concentration of veterans, of homeless veterans in the country is women veterans. I think we have a moral obligation to support them. I'm respectfully asking that the board defer voting on this proposal to provide for more time for my office to work with the proponents, the planning department, the mayor's office. And if you do not accept the deferral, I would ask if the BPDA team would work with me in the mayor's office to help me provide veterans an opportunity to get into this building when it is transferred from into residential apartment. I do believe we have an obligation. I want to do everything I possibly can to give veterans an opportunity to live in this wonderful building when it is opened. And I'm just asking the BPDA team to work with me and to help me ensure that women veterans are part of this city. There should be a place in this city for women veterans. Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me a couple of minutes to speak about that.
No, thank you. And duly noted, and when we get to that project number, we'll, add this to our questioning and ask for updates on how that's working out.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right. Let's go with item number 1, request authorization for the approval of the minutes of April 10th, 2025 board meeting. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 2, request authorization to schedule a public hearing on June 12th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. or at a date and time to be determined by the director to consider the proposed Boston University Pardee School of Global Studies project as a development impact project within the Boston University Charles River Campus 2024 through 2026 institutional master plan. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 3, request authorization to schedule a public hearing on June 12th, 2025 at 5:40 p.m. or at a date and time to be determined by the director to consider the Cancer Hospital Building Project and related improvements proposed jointly by Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center as a development impact project. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Dr. Landsmark.
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 4, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with Afrikai LLC for the use of 3 vacant lots, AKA Blair Lot, identified as a portion of 1, 2, and 4 Palmer Street, 2180 through 2190 Washington Street, and 2148 Washington Street, for the temporary installation of the Ascension Pavilion offering seasonal arts and culture and economics events, commencing June 19th, 2025, and ending November 1st, 2025. Liz?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, good afternoon. The BRA owns parcels of land in Nubian Square in Roxbury, commonly known as the Blair Lot, to create opportunities for community outreach, increase access, and diversify activation on the Blair Lot. The BPDA introduced an application for community activation on its website in 2022. Applications come in from multiple organizations, each with plans to support and manage a series of art, culture, and economic programming. Afrikai LLC submitted an application to activate the Blair Lot on the weekends, Friday through Sunday, with a temporary installation of the Ascension Pavilion, which is a temporary outdoor performance space designed to inspire, engage, and build community. This multifunctional venue will serve as a hub for creativity and cultural exchange, offering flexible programming, exceptional design, and meaningful experiences. Along with programming and performances, the Ascension Pavilion will also offer wine and beer garden provided by 67 Brewery, food services provided by local businesses, and a children's musical garden, which will be an educational space designed to engage in creative play and music making workshops. The operations of the Ascension Pavilion will be managed by EventCore, a full-service production company. EventCore will also manage trash cleanup and removal and implement a security plan to ensure a safe and secure environment for all attendees, staff, and vendors. Given the community-oriented nature of the activation, staff recommends that no fee be assessed. Staff requests authorization to enter into a license agreement with Afrikai LLC for the requested dates of June 19th, 2025 through November 1st, 2025. And I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Just think it's a great opportunity and a way to activate public land for public good and all of this stuff. So I do have one question on liability perspective of like who, and this is not from a sense that, like, this is more of just, I want to make sure we have codified like who's responsible for what. Like, how do we do that when we are, partnering with businesses and, and different things? Like, how does
We
that
do
work?
request that they give us a certificate of insurance, which covers any liabilities, and they do have to list us as additionally insured in case anything may happen. So we do give them a list of what they need. There's different options for licenses, for insurances, so we do give them the proper insurances that they need to get for liability.
Oh, thank you. Just curious. All right. If there are no other questions or comments, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
The next one. Oh, you've got a couple here. All right. Okay, item number 5, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with Suffolk Jewelers Incorporated for the use of 4,760 square feet of land located at 23 through 35 East Lenox Street in Roxbury as employee and customer parking commencing May 1st, 2025 and ending April 30th, 2026, with 2 one-year renewal options. Liz.
Thank you. Suffolk Jewelers, Inc. has been a presence on the corner of Washington Street and Newcomb Street in Roxbury since 1910. 2535 East Lenox Street is vacant land owned by the by the BRA, and is directly behind Suffolk Jewelers. Suffolk Jewelers, Inc. has utilized the lot that consists of 15 parking spaces for customers and employees since 2005 through multiple license renewals. Staff is recommending a license agreement for 1-year term commencing May 16th, 2025 and expiring April 30th, 2026, with the 2 additional 1-year option terms to be authorized at the sole discretion of the director. The fee for the use of the licensed area would be $4,011.17 per month. In the event that the above referenced option, that the option term is exercised, rent will increase 5% each term that it is exercised. The BRA will receive $48,134.04 during the initial term of the license. Thank you, and I am here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Is that 4,000 monthly rate, is that an increase over what the current rate is? What's the current
5%.
rate? Oh, so it's gone up 5% since,
Yes.
for the last 10 years or so?
That's correct.
And that's. I
It
assume-
goes 5% every year they renew their option. It goes up 5%.
Understood. And I assume that's the going rate for parking, and so I assume it's a small lot that it's not really developable, so it's.
It's a small lot. They've been using it for years. There's 15 parking spaces. Yeah.
Would we ever think of selling that?
I think it's in the process. I know an RFP had gone out. Dennis knows more
Probably getting
about
more
it.
questions than you assumed over this. I'm just
yeah,
more
yeah,
curious
yeah.
on such a
Yeah.
unique thing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is actually part of the parcel that's part of the Boston Water and Sewer disposition. So the rate is about $275 a month, which we think is pretty fair for a surface lot in Roxbury. We think it's helping out the business and the customers, and we think it's a fair rate, and they know that when the sites are ultimately developed, we will not be able to provide it anymore, but they're aware of that.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 6, request authorization to enter into a license agreement with the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for the use of the Bunker Hill Community College parking lot number 1 in Charlestown for employee parking, equipment, and material staging for 4 months, commencing April 28th, 2025, and ending August 31st, 2025. Liz?
Thank you. The BRA owns the 3-acre parking lots in Charlestown, which are used by the Bunker Hill Community College as parking for students. The MBTA Track Improvement Program is a major track repair and replacement initiative to eliminate speed restriction and bring all tracks into a 5-year state of good repair. The MBTA have been utilizing the BHCC, Bunker Hill Community College parking lots throughout the year in weekly increments to accomplish the Orange Line track repairs with multiple 30-day license agreements. They requested continued use until the end of August. Staff is recommending a license agreement commencing April 28th, 2025, and expiring on August 31st, 2025, a total of 4 months. Based on the public benefit that the proposed MBTA project will ultimately result in a safer transit experience for all residents and visitors of Boston, no fee is proposed. I am finished. Thank you.
All right, questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you.
All right, item number 7, request authorization to award final designation status to the Harrison Trotter Neighborhood Association Incorporated for the sale and redevelopment of parcel S20, parcel ID 12033160002, and parcel S21, parcel ID 12033160001, in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area. Project number Mass R-24. Benjamin.
Thank you. If we could just pull up perfect, and we go to the next slide. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. We are excitedly requesting board approval to award final designation status to the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association for the redevelopment and sale of parcel S20 and S21 in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area in the Roxbury neighborhood, as you can see up on the screen. These parcels are an approximately 6,000 square foot site located in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area. It is comprised of 2 contiguous assessor parcels of land located at the end of Hallworthy Street. After a robust community process, the BPDA issued a RFP for these parcels in July 2023. Based on review and evaluation with the community, the proposal from the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association was selected as the most highly advantageous. 1 year ago, in May 2024, the BPDA board approved the tentative designation of the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association for the redevelopment and sale of the site. Next slide. On the property, the redeveloper envisions creating a Zen garden named the Alma Wright Zen Garden after a retired Boston public school teacher. The site will be an area where students and staff from the Trotter Elementary School, located across Hallworthy Street, and community members at large can enjoy nature and learn about their community. The goals of the redeveloper's proposed project are to, 1, create and maintain a beautiful space for the community, 2, provide additional green space to enjoy, and 3, transform the property into a Zen garden. You can see the property as is on the left and what it will be hopefully on the right. As you can see through this design, the developer will redevelop an underutilized vacant lot into a new community asset that is thoughtfully designed with the help of our urban design staff. Since receiving its tentative designation, the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association has worked to finalize their design plan, operations and maintenance plan, provide evidence of necessary financing, find a suitable contractor, and review a draft deed and land disposition agreement. In their first application for CPA funds for this project submitted late last year, the redeveloper was awarded funds, and once the land is transferred, the funds will become available to them. Following this vote, the Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association anticipates finalizing and executing the deed and LDA with the BPDA, reviewing and signing agreements regarding the CPA funds, and then start construction later this year. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Such a great project, and such a great use of the, the CPA funds that, just really excited for this.
Yes.
All right, so if there are no other questions or comments, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Mr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark, but still aye. Okay. Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm going to read items number 8 and 9. I'll introduce them consecutively. We'll have one joint presentation, and then I'll read the votes separately for us to vote on. All right, item number 8. Request authorization to extend the tentative designation of Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association Incorporated for the sale and redevelopment of parcel S-12B in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-24, known as 16 through 20 Townsend Street in Roxbury, for 1 year until May 31st, 2026. And then item number 9 is request authorization to extend the tentative designation of Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association Incorporated for the sale of parcel S-12C in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-24, known as 48 Townsend Street in Roxbury, for 1 year until May 31st, 2026. Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm speaking jointly for board agenda items numbered 8 and 9. 16 to 20 Townsend Street, also known as parcel S-12B, consists of approximately 11,985 square feet of vacant land, and 48 Townsend Street, also known as parcel S-12C, consists of approximately 17,199 square feet of vacant land. Both parcels are located in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area. On November 14th, 2024, the BPDA Board approved a minor modification to said plan area, amending Table A in Chapter 6, Section 602 of the plan to permit public and open space uses on these parcels. The board granted Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association tentative designation as developer of 16 to 20 and 48 Townsend Street on May 16th, 2024. For 16 to 20 Townsend Street, Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association proposes an organized urban open space for the community to enjoy nature with native plant species and a potential butterfly garden with plants. For 48 Townsend Street, Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association proposes a community garden for community and educational uses. The redeveloper proposes to grow fresh food on the property to address food insecurity in the community, and include raised plant beds for growing produce and herbs, as well as a storage shed for housing, gardening tools, and other equipment. Both 16 to 20 Townsend and 48 Townsend will feature potential flagstone paths and patios, benches, and fences with locked gates to prevent access to the property off hours. Since the May 2024 tentative designation awards, the project team has received the Phase 1 environmental reports, further developed conceptual drawings, and executed pre-development licenses for the properties. During the next tentative designation period, the developer seeks to continue and complete BPDA design review, submit applications for funding, and establish operations and maintenance plans for each parcel. Additionally, the redeveloper will negotiate deeds and land disposition agreements with the BPDA for each parcel. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions or comments from the board? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I'm going to reread each one separately so we know what we're voting on. But let's start with number 8. So this is request authorization to extend the tentative designation of Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association Incorporated for the sale and redevelopment of parcels S-12B in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-24, known as 16 through 20 Townsend Street in Roxbury for 1 year until May 31st, 2026. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 8, request authorization to extend the tentative designation of Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association Incorporated for the sale of parcel S-12C in the Washington Park Urban Renewal Area, project number Mass R-24, known as 48 Townsend Street in Roxbury, for 1 year until May 31st, 2026. A motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Item number 10, request authorization to execute a contract with Northeast Weather Services LLC in an amount of $200,000 annually for landscaping and maintenance services in the downtown waterfront area for a contract term of 2 years with 3 one-year renewal options. Lauren?
Thank you. Previously, the board authorized that an IFB be released to advertise for landscaping and hardscape maintenance of the downtown waterfront properties. The BPDA issued the IFB on March 24th, 2025, and held a pre-submission site visit on April 2nd, 2025. 5 bids responses were received by the April 16th deadline, and the winner is Northeast Weathered Services. Their total price bid is in line with the initial budget estimate of $200,000 per year. Additionally, this company has experience with similar high-traffic urban areas and is able to provide appropriate equipment for the services. Therefore, BPDA staff recommend that the contract be awarded to Northeast Weathered Services LLC as the responsible and eligible bidder with the lowest total bid price. The awarded contract will be for 2 years with 3 one-year options to be exercised at the sole discretion of the BPDA. The cost is not expected to exceed $200,000 per year, and the funding for this project will be from the BPDA's operating budget for each year.
Okay, great. Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 11, request authorization to issue an invitation for bids for landscaping services at Shipyard Park in the Charlestown Navy Yard for a contract term of 1 year with 3 one-year renewal options. Lauren?
Thank you. This motion here is to request that the BPDA be permitted to solicit bids pursuant to Chapter 30B of the Mass General Laws to advertise for landscaping services at the Charlestown Navy Yard. The scope of services will consist of planting and maintenance to include weeding, watering, mulching, pruning and removal of dead plants and shrubs, daily removal of all trash from receptacles, power washing of Shipyard Park as needed, and snow removal from the contracted areas. The IFB will be publicly advertised with local newspapers, on the BPDA's website, the statewide Combis system, the State Goods and Services Bulletin, and through other channels as appropriate. The resulting contract will be awarded to the responsible and responsive bidder with the lowest bid price. The awarded contract will be for a term of 1 year with 3 single option years to be exercised at the sole discretion of the BPDA, and funding for this project will be from the BPDA's fiscal year 26 operating budget. The cost is not expected to exceed $150,000 annually, with a contingency of $20,000 for snow. Thank you.
Snow, it's variable every year. You never know.
Just in case.
Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 12, request authorization to issue an invitation for bids for cleaning and maintenance of the China Trade Center located at 2 Boylston Street for a contract term of 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options. Lauren?
Thank you. My last request today is to solicit bids for the cleaning and maintenance of China Trade Center located at 2 Boylston Street. The scope of services will consist of furnishing all necessary labor and materials, equipment, and related services necessary to clean and maintain the China Trade office building. The IFB will publicly be advertised with local newspapers on the BPDA website, the statewide combine system, and the Goods and Services Bulletin, and through other channels as appropriate. The resulting contract will be awarded to the responsible and responsive bidder with the lowest total bid price. The awarded contract for this will be a term of 3 years with 2 single option years to be exercised at the sole discretion of the BPDA. Funding for this project will be for the BPDA fiscal year 26 operating budget. The cost is not expected to exceed $825,000 for the initial 3-year term.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right, item number 13, request authorization to issue a request for proposals for engineering design services for the Shipyard Park Waterfront Repairs Phase 3, Flagship Wharf Bulkhead, in the Charlestown Navy Yard. William.
All right, good afternoon again, Madam Chair, members of the board. We are looking to issue a design RFP for the Shipyard Park Phase 3 project. We were last before you in December of last year to authorize the execution of the construction contract for the timber boardwalk replacement that is now underway. That's Phase 2. Phase 1, you'll recall, was the reconstruction of Pier 4 in the Navy Yard. This phase, Phase 3, seeks to repair the bulkhead that's between Piers 4 and 5 along Flagship Wharf. This project would provide, it's an engineering design contract that we're looking for, to provide surveying and assessment, design for the work, permitting, construction administration with the bid documents and resident engineering. The estimate for this work is $750,000. That would be funded from the FY26 capital budget with city capital dollars. We do have a sizable investment from the city in this location. We are also pursuing an outside grant from the state for the Seawalls program. Together, we're hoping for $7 million to be able to invest in this area. The RFP would be issued subject to Chapter 3039M, and I look to return this summer with a recommendation to award. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Just want to say, I know I made a little sound or whatever. I went to a Google search on bulkheads, and when I was reading this memo, and so I'm just like, oh my gosh, bulkheads! This is just such really important work, and that just let's see what we got underneath there, and anyway.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
We'd be
I
happy to
just
give you a
wanted to comment. I
tour
know I made a
anytime you
little
like as well.
I'm just like, whoa, the bulkheads. All right. Okay, so if there are no other further questions or comments, motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Bennett, or no, roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett. Aye. Mr. Shepherd.
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark.
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 14, request authorization to amend the design services contract with Bardman, Hendry, and Archetype Incorporated for the additional construction phase services in connection with the building envelope repairs project at the China Trade Center located at 2 Boylston Street, and to execute any further change orders that may be required to complete the work as deemed necessary by the director in a total aggregate amount not to exceed $54,399.83. William.
All right, thank you. We know them as BH plus A. It's a little easier to say. They're our architect of record out at the China Trade Building. They're doing the masonry work that you'll recall last month we authorized a construction contract amendment for our contractor APC. Now that we have that construction contract up to $6 million, we need to increase our design contract so that we have appropriate hours for the supervision and oversight of that work. This will be the second amendment. The original contract was for $100,000. The amended contract was for $169,000. We're now increasing it with a base of $45,000 plus contingency. The total contract would be $223,399.83. That's less than 4% of the total construction contract, which we're very proud about. That's a very reasonable number. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, motion passes. Item number 15, request authorization to execute a contract with Weston and Sampson Engineers Incorporated to provide design services and construction administration for building envelope preservation and stabilization at the Chain Forge Building 105 in the Charlestown Navy Yard for a total contract amount not to exceed $313,440. William.
All right, I'm very excited about this one. I hope you'll understand why soon. We are looking to execute the engineering contract with Weston and Sampson. This project will seek to stabilize and preserve the exterior envelope and structure of Building 105, which is the Chain Forge building in the Charlestown Navy Yard. The building has been vacant since the military abandoned it in the 70s. It's been through a designation process. It's out again soon, hoping to redevelop it. The last designation, one of the reasons why it wasn't successful is there's extensive environmental remediation that needs to be done in addition to the structural preservation. So we're hoping to do as much of that as we possibly can ourselves, making the project more feasible to developers. So this effort is going to seek to inspect, assess, design some needed improvements and repairs to stabilize the building. It'll include permitting, construction docs, and oversee all of the implemented repairs that come from it. We issued the request for qualifications March of this year. Over 80 folks downloaded the solicitation. We received 9 proposals on April 14th. The most advantageous was from Weston and Sampson with a bid price of $261,200. The total contract recommendation is for $313,440, which includes a little bit higher contingency than normal at 20%, just because we don't know fully what we're getting ourselves into. And this will be funded from the FY26 capital budget. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah. Questions or comments from the board? So excited. I mean, I know we've been through this. Yeah, the Chain Forge building. Thanks for sticking with it and for like taking this like strategic approach to like we're not going to give up on this building in this areas, right? Like, anyway, I just think this is a. Let's just vote on it. Can we? Like actually, no. Motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett. Aye. Mr. Shepherd. Aye. Dr. Landsmark.
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Item number 16, request authorization to execute a joint architecture engineering services contract with selected firms for House Doctor Architectural and Engineering Services on an as-needed basis for BRA-owned properties citywide for a term of 3 years with 90-day extension options and for a total combined contract amount not to exceed $1.8 million with separate contracts for EDIC-owned and BRA-owned properties awarded. Star.
Hello again, Madam Chair and members of the board. My presentation for this item is exactly the same as the EDIC portion. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Perfect. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Star.
Thank you.
Item number 17, request authorization to petition the zoning commission to adopt a text amendment to resolve language and clerical errors in the Boston zoning code. Cyrus.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Rojas, esteemed members of the board, Director Shen, and Secretary Polhemus. My name is Cyrus Maselli, and I am a planner here with the Department Zoning Reform Team. I'm pleased to join you here today to talk about the proposed zoning amendment to resolve language and clerical errors in the Boston zoning code. Very exciting.
What? A clerical error?
Next slide.
No, sorry. I know this isn't.
The Boston zoning code represents approximately 4,000 pages of amendments and additions that have been made over the last 50 years. Some of these amendments have contained small typos, formatting issues, and inaccuracies, which together have accumulated over time. And the amendment before you today would resolve a set of such errors that are currently existing. These errors are identified and collected on an ongoing basis through staff review of the code, notification from other peer department code users, such as ISD, and public comment. This update and potential others in the future like it will not establish any new regulations and will not change the functioning of the code's existing regulations. Rather, it serves to improve the code's accuracy and ensure proper accessibility to our city's rules and regulations. Next slide. There are two pathways through which clerical errors in the zoning code are resolved. First, there are administrative updates, which you can see the pathway for on the left side of the chart here. These updates resolve errors caused by inaccurate transcriptions of adopted zoning by MuniCode, which is the vendor that hosts the online and externally managed version of the Boston zoning code. And because these resolutions bring MuniCode into consistency with lawfully adopted zoning, they can be submitted in MuniCode directly. Secondly, there are updates that require formal adoption. These updates resolve errors that exist in adopted zoning documents. Because the fixes change the actual content of our officially adopted zoning, these resolutions must be approved by the board and adopted by the zoning commission before they can be implemented, like this amendment before you. Next slide, please. The proposed text amendment before you features resolutions to 15 existing errors spread across 20 different articles of the Boston zoning code. These resolutions amend incorrect formatting and section and footnote references, clarify misrepresented language and terms, and insert missing or inaccurately transcribed content in the code. The process of identifying and drafting resolutions to these errors began at the beginning of the calendar year. And while the majority of the 15 errors identified were identified by staff, it's worth noting that 3 were brought to our attention by members of the public. The draft zoning amendment resolving these errors was publicly released on April 14th and was followed roughly a week later by 2 virtual office hour sessions, one of which was held during the day and another in the evening. These sessions were joined by 3 participants who had opportunities to ask questions about the amendment, and each was in support of the proposed changes. And then before moving forward, I just want to reiterate that this proposed amendment does not establish any new regulations and doesn't change the functioning of our existing adopted regulations. And now we'll move on to some examples. Beginning with citations. Multiple tables across different articles of the code feature incorrect citations to applicable footnotes and sections. The proposed amendment resolves these by inserting the appropriate references. Surprise. You can see 2 examples of this highlighted on the screen, including one which corrects a footnote citation in the Fenway dimensional tables, and another that fixes a section reference in the South Boston zoning that currently cites an irrelevant section in the Roslindale article. Next slide, please. In addition to these citation issues, several other transcription errors exist across the zoning code. The proposed text amendment resolves these by correcting typos, such as the one that you can see at the top of the screen in our inclusionary zoning, and also amending language inconsistencies, including this one at the bottom of the screen, which standardizes the naming conventions of these established residential subdistricts in East Boston. Next slide. The proposed amendment also remedies existing formatting errors in the code, which currently create consistency issues in zoning and confusion regarding what regulations apply and how they should be interpreted. You can see here, it's a little small, but in the squares and street zoning, that some of the highlighted bullet points, figure titles, and graphic figures are placed out of order in relationship to each other and the overall structure of the article. And this amendment moves them into the appropriate sequence. Next slide. Additionally, there are certain regulations within the zoning code whose meaning, because of overly concise or confusing drafting, can be misrepresented or difficult to determine. The proposed update resolves instances of this by clarifying the language and intended meaning of these existing regulations. Taking a look at a couple examples, first at the top of the screen. At the request of an East Boston constituent, a sentence has been added to a footnote in East Boston's residential zoning to further clarify the occupancy requirements of an existing subdistrict. This move, while adding language, doesn't change the function or interpretation of the existing requirement. It just makes it easier for the typical reader to understand what it says. Similarly, the example at the bottom of the screen amends the name of an existing use item present in 2 zoning articles. And this move was made to better align the name of the term with both its definition and also how it is defined elsewhere across the code. Next slide, please. Finally, this amendment resolves several instances of missing content where adopted zoning has failed to be appropriately transcribed or implemented into the code. While these issues, such as the one pictured, could typically be resolved through an administrative update, meaning just an update with Municode, these corrections require a formal adoption process because they relate to sections and articles that have had more recent amendments adopted, which exclude and effectively supersede the previously adopted but missing content. Accordingly, the amendment here is relied on to remedy these conditions, which it does by inserting the missing regulations into the locations specified in the relevant adopted zoning amendments. Next slide, please. To resolve and prevent errors in the future, the zoning reform team has been working internally and with Municode to uncover opportunities for process improvement in zoning adoption. The identified changes to our standard process include updating the document type used for amendment materials submitted to Municode, altering the formatting of how updates to tables and figures are drafted in official zoning amendments, and implementing standardized error-related reviews of zoning amendments, both pre-zoning commission and post-implementation online. And it's our hope that through these efforts, that we can continue to reduce the number of errors that exist across the code moving forward. Next slide. And with that, I'll conclude the presentation. Thank you very much, and available to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? I just want to, just with a great appreciation, I think the example illustrations were fabulous ways to, again, clearly communicate what the intent of this vote is, and it's to not change the functioning of the zoning code, right? But recognize that we're humans and there's a lot of details and a lot of references, and to keep that, maintaining it. And I also appreciate the slide from before, yes, we're taking, these preventative, an auditor, we're talking like controls and risks and stuff, like preventative controls, right? To be able to, to manage this in the future. There's always going to be, exceptions, but that's what these controls are for, right? So Bravo probably doesn't get the, the like cool, sticker for the meeting, but for me, this is awesome. And these tables and these things are really, really clear. I appreciate the strike through what it is before, and it's just, yeah. Anyway, there are no other questions or comments. Motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Good work. Item number 18, request authorization to sign the Municipal Planning Board notification form declaring the intention of Channelside Acquisitions LLC, care of Related Beal, to file a Chapter 91 license application with the Department of Environmental Protection as co-applicant for the floating dock at the Channelside development located at 244 through 284 A Street. Alana.
Good evening, Chair Rojas, Secretary Polimas, members of the board, and Director Shen. My name is Ilana Hames, and I'm presenting to inform you that the proponent for Channelside Floating Dock Project at 244-284 A Street has submitted an application for a Chapter 91 license pursuant to the Public Waterways Act through the Commonwealth Department of Environmental Protection. Chapter 91 is a Massachusetts general law intended to codify the public trust doctrine, preserving the Massachusetts waterfront for public purpose. Projects located on tidelands are, in most cases, subject to Chapter 91 jurisdiction. These projects must either serve a water-dependent use or preserve the capacity of the waterfront for future water-dependent use. Chapter 91 is enforced by the Commonwealth, and projects subject to regulations must go through a licensing process with the Department of Environmental Protection. Part of said licensing process involves notifying the Municipal Planning Board or local equivalent of a project's application for a license. This process involves a signature of a form to be submitted with the proponent's application. Next slide, please. This form is separate from the public comment period on a project and neither indicates support of nor opposition to a project. The Massachusetts Department of Energy and Environmental Affairs publishes notices of all projects submitted for review through MEPA, including Chapter 91 license applications through the Environmental Monitor. These public notices include an advertisement of both public hearings and public comment periods, during which agencies and individuals may submit comments directly to DEP on the license application for a project. Next slide, please. The project at 244 A Street is expected to meet all stipulations set forth by the Code of Massachusetts Regulations 310 CMR 9, waterways with respect to projects on tidelands serving a water-dependent use. This project is part of a larger series of proposed projects on the site, all having undergone the Article 80 process and part of the 100 Acres Master Plan, PDA number 69. This project was approved by BPDA Board in 2023, and subsequently the proponent applied for and received a consolidated written determination from the Department of Environmental Protection in April of 2024. The terms of the license application for this floating dock project adhere to the stipulations and the proposals set forth in that CWD, and the application for the floating dock license is one of 9 total individual Chapter 91 licenses for the project site. Next slide, please. The Boston Planning Department will serve as a co-applicant and co-licensee on this floating dock project license with Channelside Acquisitions. This license application is submitted under the proponent's consolidated written determination, again issued April of 2024. And per 310 CMR 9 and the provisions of Chapter 91, development may not extend beyond the state harbor line as established by Chapter 232 of the Acts of 1873, unless the Boston Redevelopment Authority or similar agency serves as a co-applicant on a project that fulfills the goals of the 4-point watershed activation plan pursuant to Statute 2010, Chapter 204, Section 1, enacted by the Massachusetts General Court. There are no obligations placed on the Boston Planning Department to fund or maintain this proposed structure. This is solely a project approval procedure for consistency with the long-term planning for the 4-point channel. The Boston Redevelopment Authority and Boston Planning and Development Agency have served as co-applicants for similar projects, including dock projects at the Boston Children's Museum and Independence Wharf. So thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions about this project.
Okay, great. Questions or comments from the board? Yeah, hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Alana.
Thank you.
All right, item number 19. Request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of the 60 Guest Street project in Brighton in accordance with the board memo by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency and 60 Guest Street Owner LLC dated February 10th, 2022. A certificate of completion, so a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett? Aye. Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 20 has been removed. Item number 21, request authorization to issue a partial certificate of completion for the successful completion of the 15 Necco Street building in the South Boston waterfront neighborhood in accordance with Section C.4 of the amended and restated cooperation agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency and ARE-MA, Region Number 74, LLC, dated July 1st, 2021. Again, certificate of completion, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 22, request authorization to issue a certificate of completion for the successful completion of parcels O and P located in the Raymond L. Flynn Marine Park in accordance with Section C.4 of the cooperation agreement by and between the Boston Redevelopment Authority doing business as the Boston Planning and Development Agency and MCP3 Foundry LLA, care of Marcus Partners, dated February 26, 2022. Certificate of completion, a motion is in order. Motion is in order.
So moved. Yep. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 23, Request authorization to issue a certification of approval pursuant to Article 80E Small Project Review of the Zoning Code for the notice of project change in connection with the proposed increase in residential rental units to 35 units, including 5 IDP units located at 521 through 523 Cambridge Street, and to enter into an amended affordable rental housing agreement and restriction, and to take all related actions. Camille.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, members of the board, Director Shen, and Secretary Paul Jimenez. My name is Camille Platt, and I'm the project manager for the 521 to 523 Cambridge Street project in Alston, which the notice of project change is before you today. The approved project, which was approved in June of 2023 by this board, is located just west of the intersection of Cambridge Street and North Beacon Street in Alston. These are just the very, very quick stats on it. One of the major items is that they are increasing the amount of units by 2. The project site is currently comprised of 2 parcels containing about 9,045 square feet of land. The proposal includes the demolition of both the existing 2-story structure presently used for office space and an existing 1-story repair and service garage, as well as the termination of use of a used car lot that spans across the majority of the property. You can go to the next slide, please. This is a very quick overview of the proposal changes. So the project will now have a total of 35 units as opposed to the approved project's 33 units from the June approval, and we'll add another 3-bedroom into the mix. So rather than just 2 3-bedrooms from the original approval, they're adding a third. The project includes a total of 3 studios now, 19 1-bedroom units, 10 2-bedroom units, and 3 3-bedroom units. The project still maintains, as of their original approval, 0 on-site parking spaces. And if you can go to the next slide, please. And this is an aerial view of the site. These were included in the original approval from June of 2023 as well, but just to put us back to where the location is. And then if you could go to the next slide, please. Existing conditions of the site, again, that is the 2-story office use space, and then to the right of it, that is where the used car lot currently stands. You can go to the next slide. And very briefly, this is just one level of the proposed project. Just want to show that it's a 6-story building that is proposed, but just wanted to show one level of the project here for reference. Next slide, please. And then we're back here. So again, the expedited MPC was filed on March 28th of this year. No public meeting was requested by the city councilor. Would like to thank the Alston Brighton community, Councilor Breeden as well, and staff who have participated in the approved project as well as this notice of project change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
So it's increased 2 units. They haven't increased the IDP units, but they've made one of the IDP units is now a 3-bedroom.
So in the original approval, there was a 3-bedroom, and now there's also a 3-bedroom. So they actually increased from 1 3-bedroom to 2 3-bedroom IDP units.
But so do they go up in the number of units, or do they swap out? It's still 5.
It's still
always been
5.
But
Yes,
it's 2
yes.
3-bedrooms.
They swapped out, and I believe the Jay Walsh, who is the consultant, might be on as well, but I don't know exactly which size bedroom they swithed out for the other third, or for the other 3-bedroom.
Would have been smaller than.
Yes,
the
it would have
third.
been
So,
smaller.
Yeah, no,
yes.
listen, I think we all agree that you don't want to see just the studios or the 1-bedrooms be designated IDP. So I think this is a positive change, and certainly justifies the increase in units.
Thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Camille.
Thank you.
All right. Item number 24, request authorization to enter into an affordable housing agreement in connection with the proposed creation of 1 IDP homeownership unit located at 841 Columbia Road, and to take all related actions. Andy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Director Shen, Secretary Paul Jimenez, and members of the board. My name is Andy Feldman. I'm the Housing Policy Manager with the Mayor's Office of Housing. Tonight, I'm here to request your vote on an affordable housing agreement for the proposed development at 841 Columbia Road in Dorchester. The development proposes to build 6 condo units, and while it did not trigger Article 80 due to its size, the project team is voluntarily restricting 1 unit as income restricted. Therefore, the vote in front of you tonight will allow the agency to enter into an agreement to dedicate this 1 unit under the inclusionary development policy. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thanks. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 25, request authorization to issue a certification of approval pursuant to Article 80E Small Project Review of the Zoning Code for the proposed development located at 9 Arch Street, also known as 16 to 18 Holly Street, also known as 31 Milk Street, to authorize the director to enter into a pilot agreement for the proposed project, to authorize the director to accept a quitclaim deed for a certain temporary limited property interest in the project site, and to take all related actions. Dylan.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen and Secretary Polhemus. My name is Dylan Norris. I am a project assistant with the Development and Review Division of the Planning Department. I'm here before you to present an applicant of the Downtown Office to Residential Conversion Program, the proposed Article 80E small project located at 16 to 18 Holly or 9 Arch Street in the downtown neighborhood of Boston, as well as the proposed 121B agreement needed to effectuate the Downtown Residential Conversion Incentive Pilot Program. On October 28, 2024, Dinosaur Milk LLC applied to Mayor Wu and the BPDA's Downtown Residential Conversion Incentive Pilot Program. The program was authorized by this board on October 12, 2023, and offers approved applicants a tax abatement in exchange for converting their underutilized office building into multifamily residential rental units. The October board vote authorized the creation of a demonstration project plan area in the downtown Boston, where the BPDA is able to act pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 121B, and provide a contract for payment in lieu of taxes pursuant to said chapter. Based on BPDA staff review under Article 80 and review under the pilot program, the proponent before you has been selected to receive a pilot agreement. Based on the pilot program criteria, the program will, upon approval at this board, enter into a pilot agreement with the City of Boston and the City of Boston's assessor. If approved, they will receive an average tax abatement of up to 75% of the assessed residential value for a term of 29 years, terms of which are consistent with the October board vote. In order to comply with the rules and regulations under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 121B, Section 16, the BPDA must take an interest in the project site. In order to effectuate that, the BPDA and the owner of 16 to 18 Holly will enter into a deed agreement which conveys limited rights to 16 to 18 Holly Street property. Additionally, the owner and the BPDA will enter into an indemnification agreement to ensure the BPDA has no liability on said property. On March 11th, 2025, the Planning Department received a small project review application under Article 80E of the Zoning Code from the proponent, of which the Planning Department sponsored a virtual public meeting on April 30th, 2025, which was well attended and well received. You can go to the next slide. The public meeting was advertised in local newspapers and a notice posted on the BPDA's calendar, as well as sent to the downtown neighborhood distribution list. The comment period for the small project review application ended on May 7th, 2025. You can also go to the next slide here. So the project site includes a 9,481 square feet of land located at 9 Arch Street, aka 16 to 18 Holly, in the city's Midtown Financial District neighborhood, with street frontages along Milk, Holly, and Arch Street. You can go to the next slide. The project site includes an existing 11-story commercial office condominium with a building footprint that takes the majority of the project site at approximately 9,380 square feet, with an existing post office retail use on a separate condominium unit on the first floor, which will remain. You can go to the next slide. And here's an additional view from Arch Street, and the next slide as well. Thank you. The proposed project, the proposed office to residential conversion proposes the adaptive reuse of the existing 11-story office condominium, or Unit 2, from a commercial office business use to residential apartments. Unit 2 will consist of approximately 86,730 residential gross floor area of residential rental space, and the project will also be providing 110 residential rental units on floors 2 through 11, with associated amenities in the building's mezzanine and basement. The existing retail on the first floor, Unit 1, will remain as a U.S. Postal Service office, as well as the exterior of the building will be preserved to preserve the historic facade. The unit mix is comprised of 40 studio apartments, as well as 52 one-bedroom units, as well as 18 two-bedroom units. The project will also include approximately 100 resident bike parking spaces in a subterranean bike parking room. The project is also in compliance with the inclusionary zoning requirements with 19 income-restricted units, as well as an additional 3 income-restricted units made available for voucher recipients. Thank you, and that concludes the presentation. The proponent team is available to answer any questions the board may have related to the project. We also have an appendice with the typical floor plates. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
So just so I have it right, this is the post office on Milk Street, above it.
Yes,
It's
sir.
been empty, Attorney Hanley, for as long as you and I have been around, so this is really exciting to see.
And will remain, Mr. O'Malley, so
Yes.
thank you.
No, excellent. I think it's exciting to see more of these residential conversions come before the board, and it's just a fantastic location. It brings vibrancy and life, and the fact that there's a significant number of affordable units as well is terrific. So thank you.
Additional questions or comments? Now, I want to recognize that earlier we had Councilor Flynn come to make some comments on it. With related to that, can you or someone from the agency talk about kind of
Yeah, I'm happy to
conversations
handle
that have been happening and all of the things?
Yeah, Madam Chair, and just for the record, Attorney Joe Hanley, McDermott, Colty, Miller, and Hanley, representing the proponent. Very much appreciate Councilor Finn's leadership, and we had very good dialogue with him. And if you read the board memo that was provided to the members for this, we are committed in writing to pursue a veteran's preference. That is something that we share as an important component. Mark Dufton is actually part of the development team and is a veteran himself. And as the counselor noted, especially women, veteran, and the homeless community is a big challenge, and we hope to be part of that solution in partnership with the BPDA.
Great, thank you. You got up, so I didn't know if you wanted to say something or you were just kind of.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'm Devin Quirk, Deputy Chief at the department. I just wanted to add that we are also very supportive. I've spoken with Sheila Dillon from the Mayor's Office of Housing, who also is very supportive of the veterans' housing preference. We're working out the final details. It will take a few weeks to do so, but we'd like to ask your support to move the project ahead because it's important to line it up for some state funding to get its approval tonight.
Great, thank you. And appreciate the addition to the memo and putting it in codified there in writing. I do want to, just for accountability's sake, we will take the vote, right? And should it pass, right? It would be, I do request that we just get an update once that's all finalized.
Right.
At whatever meeting that makes sense, whether it's
Yes,
the next
Madam
one or the
Chair,
West
and
one after
we
that.
still would need, if it was the pleasure of the board to proceed tonight, we would still need to do the affordable housing agreement.
And all of those
And the
things.
like. So you have our commitment, it's in writing, and we look forward to working with Devin and Dylan and the entire staff here.
Okay, great. So, all right, if there are any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to acknowledge the counselor's leadership on this issue, which I'm familiar with from many years at BHA, and I think it's great, whenever we can to insert this use into the housing that we're building, and really appreciate the developer and all the agencies' openness to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bennett.
Great. Additional questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none? Oh, were you gonna? Yeah?
I concur with what the colleague said.
Motion is in order.
With enthusiasm, so moved. I second that.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you for putting all that stuff in writing. Great. Item number 26. Request authorization to enter into an affordable housing agreement in connection with the proposed creation of 2 IDP home ownership units located at 1159 through 1161 Washington Street, and to take all related actions. Andy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Director Shen, Secretary Polhemus, and members of the board. I'm Andy Feldman, Housing Policy Manager with the Mayor's Office of Housing. Tonight, I'm here to request your vote on an affordable housing agreement for the proposed development at 1159 to 1163 Washington Street. This development proposes to build 14 units And while it didn't trigger Article 80 due to its size, the inclusionary development policy does apply. Therefore, the vote in front of you tonight will allow the agency to enter into an agreement to dedicate 2 units under the policy. Happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved. Second.
We'll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Andy. Item number 27, request authorization to issue a scoping determination waiving further review pursuant to Article 80B Large Project Review of the Zoning Code for the proposed creation of a mixed-use self-storage facility, office, and retail development including 17 car parking spaces and 12 bicycle parking spaces located at 120 through 134 Hampton Street. Enter into a cooperation agreement and to take all related actions. Dylan.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen, and Secretary Polhemus. My name is Dylan Norris, and I am a project assistant in the Development Review Division of the Planning Department. We're here before you today to discuss the proposed Article 80B large project located at 120 to 134 Hamden Street in the Newmarket neighborhood of Boston. The project site includes 4 parcels of land of approximately 29,603 square feet, with an existing non-conforming records warehouse and vast unimproved surface area on site. The proponent today, Casper Ballman Group LLC, is proposing an approximately a 105,000 gross square feet mixed-use self-storage facility and commercial development. This includes the change of use of approximately 73,000 existing gross square feet of the existing 6-story building located at 134 Hamden, which is currently an existing records warehouse. In addition to the into the adaptive reuse, there will be a new addition of a 6-story, 32,327 gross square foot addition that will feature retail, office, and self-storage uses in order to better activate the existing street corner. The development team filed their project notification form on February 21st, 2025, which was distributed through the Roxbury and Newmarket neighborhood distribution lists. A scoping session for city and state officials was held on March 20th, 2025. The planning department also sponsored and hosted a virtual IAG meeting on March 24th, 2025, as well as a virtual public meeting on March 25th, 2025. The public and IAG meetings were posted on the planning department calendar and website. Email notifications were sent to all subscribers of the Roxbury neighborhood update list as well as Newmarket, and local elected officials and their staff were notified of the meetings. With that, I'll now turn it over to my colleague, Jason, to present the zoning and planning context for which the project was reviewed by the planning department. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, Director Shen and Secretary Polhemus. I am Jason McDonald, and I'm reviewing the zoning and planning context for this project. And are we on the nice slide? The proposed project is located in Newmarket Industrial Zoning District's Creative Industrial Subdistrict, governed by Article 90. The site presently has 4 separate parcels with an existing 6-story warehouse on the largest parcel, as mentioned before. The remainder of the site is paved surface parking. The site is on the edge of the mostly industrial Newmarket district, and it borders on the residential Roxbury neighborhood to the west end. Next slide, please. The proposed project seeks a conditional use permit for self-storage use. It also seeks zoning relief for building lot coverage, front setback, and height. The dimensional zoning violations are related to the adaptive reuse of the existing structure, therefore appropriate for relief. Self-storage was made a conditional use to differentiate this use from active warehouse use. Given Newmarket's industrial planning context, both Plan Newmarket and current zoning encourages warehouse use due to the positive economic benefits derived from the direct job creation and the manner in which warehousing can support a range of businesses. In general, self-storage is a use that is inconsistent with the job creation goals of Plan Newmarket. With this background, though, we are recommending a conditional use permit due to 2 exceptional circumstances. The plan emphasizes retention and adaptive reuse of the collection of masonry buildings, such as this one, that are found in the Arts Industrial Subdistrict, and its adjacency to the residential neighborhood directly across the street. This edge condition is suited to this use, which is less intensive industrial use than the uses generally envisioned in the Newmarket plan. And thank you. I'll turn over to the proponents team.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen, Madam Secretary, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, permitting attorneys and zoning attorneys for the project. With me today is Kevin Diebler from Rhodey Architects, as well as Casper Ballman from the Ballman Group, who's the property owner and project developer. Very quickly, just want to thank Dylan, Jason, Alexa, and Ted, who are here, and the entire planning department staff for this project. It's been a truly collaborative effort. All of their input's been super helpful, so we really appreciate it. Also want to thank the elected officials, the Newmarket Business Improvement District, and we had a very strong impact advisory group for all their time and valuable input on the project. And I'll just note quickly for the board that we did receive actually a letter of recommending approval from the IAG, signed by all the IAG members, which is somewhat rare in an Article 80 large project. So just wanted to highlight that for the board. I think Dylan.
Can I just, excuse you for 1 second? Can we just get just do the shush thing out there?
Sure.
I'm just sorry.
All good.
It's distracting me. I'm like trying to do, I know we set up the thing to the thing. Yeah, okay.
I blame Attorney Hanley for
No,
that.
no, no. I know that we don't get to see each other a lot, and I just.
That's why you have the room, the collab room.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, I know. I saw that. We were trying to. Yeah, but I think proceed. Thank you.
Okay. I think Dylan and Jason did a great job explaining the project, so we don't need to cover this slide. If you go to the next slide, please. Again, the site, it's 4 parcels. It's about 29,500 square feet. You can see it here. It is 120 to 134 Hampden and a Howard Street address. It's in the Newmarket neighborhood of Roxbury, but it does actually is across from some residential. There's just a lot of pavement, impervious surfaces, underutilized space at the site, which we're looking to activate. We have frontage on Hampden, on Howard, and on Norfolk as well. So it's a corner space, has a lot of visibility, and that existing storage building, which you'll see in a minute, is in need of some TLC, which this project is proposing. Next slide, I will now pass the mic over to Kevin Diebler from Rhodey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Director Shen, members of the board. I'm Kevin Diebler, principal and co-founder of Rhodey Architects. I'd also like to thank Casper Ballman for trusting us with his project. So we're excited to present a project here that represents an important planning initiative. The BPDA began well over 5 years ago. The Plan Newmarket study was a city and community-led process. I was involved in that myself, worked with Ted and Alexa, who are here as well, very hard on that. This process worked itself all the way into existence through adoption of Article 90. Newmarket is Boston's industrial hub, and it deserved the care and attention that went into the plan to make it a modern industrial neighborhood. So the goals of this project align with the plan, which are preserving existing uses, mixing in new uses with them, and focusing on placemaking and improvements to the public realm. Next slide. This, as Nick mentioned, has long stood here as a warehouse, the Howard Storage. If you go up and down Hampden Street, you've seen that it has virtually no windows, and has existed as this records storage warehouse for many decades. Next slide. The design concept really expresses the opportunity of mixed uses and celebrates this corner and the edge of the creative industrial sub-district within the Plan Newmarket area. All of these different colors diagram the sort of prevalence of storage and a little more storage in the addition, but the ground floor, especially at the corners where we're adding the uses that really activate the street, and then open themselves up a little bit more to the public than the uses above. The conditional use change from warehouse to self-storage is actually a change that moves it a little bit more into an active storage use. And I think that is one reason why we look at this as just simply an opportunity to do something with this and express the building as a part of this Plan Newmarket goals. Next slide. The site plan has a lot of detail. I'm not going to go through every single bullet here, but it really just illustrates the extensive work being planned to increase permeability, shade, and safety for the neighbors and occupants of the future mixed-use building. Next slide. In this section and the images on the right, we show the dimensions and the quality of the materiality that will create an identity to the open space that will be surrounding. We're increasing sidewalks, adding plantings. There literally are no living things on this site presently. So we're converting all of the asphalt areas into active uses and creating what we think is a hopeful image of the future of Newmarket. Next slide. And this section is very similar to the concept diagram. It shows the floors of storage that exist, the big building on the right, the addition on the left. The ground floor retail will have a fairly high floor-to-floor, so that space could be a number of different things, and we've been really eyeballing trying to get a food-related business in there for the future of Newmarket, where it would be much more occupied by people in this district. Next slide. And the building materials, really, we're transitioning this from a brick building to a more of a modern metal skinned building. And the perspectives will show a lot of the moves that we're making to try to make that transition, but the base will be brick, and all of the materials will be detailed in a very modern way. So it's reminiscent of its past, but definitely looking forward to the future. Next slide. Here we just start to show a lot of the perspectives of different angles. This is one element on the right of the Orchard Gardens residential neighborhood. So the building really kind of tries to tie itself into that two-story scale across the street. The existing building is large. It's always had a big facade on Hampden Street. We're sort of ghosting in the original windows with the metal, within the metal skin, and then gradating the colors so that it goes from a more of a historic darker tone to a much more forward-looking lighter tone with a little bit of color, again, to kind of call attention to the creative aspects of what this neighborhood could be. And you just keep rolling through these next few ones. And then this is these views. The other one right here really kind of starts to focus in on what the public will see at the ground floor. This is looking down Norfolk Street back towards Hampden, and that same effect with colors that you could see from a long distance really add some missing vitality to this area. And as I'm kind of closing, I'll just make sure that we note that this building will have very low energy use, just as it's, we don't get too many projects where you don't need windows and you don't have to worry about the detailing and the insulation. And so it's in a good position there to continue its low energy footprint. We're going to be covering the roof with as much solar as we possibly can fit and complying with Mass Save Path 1. So the ability to add an insulated metal skin to the outside really enhances its future energy use. With that, I'll answer any questions from the team.
Okay, great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I'll start, Madam Chair. Admittedly, I don't love self-storage facilities, but you have done an admirable job making it look a lot more attractive as a building, so congratulations, Rhodey, and your team. And I do like the fact that it's introducing some retail use, some office use to activate the space a little bit more. That's clearly needed. I also had no idea that art and wine would need a special storage. I assume it makes sense for climate control and whatnot, so that's exciting. The wine I drink doesn't quite need to make it into a climate control. It usually comes in a box.
Maybe you need to put it here, and it won't be so easy.
They are, but no, so it's a good-looking project. I'm curious so you don't have identified a retail tenant. You talk about having, obviously, people always say coffee shop, cafe, that's always the dream. It doesn't always pencil out, but have you had any conversation with the potential office leasee?
We have. Casper might talk about that.
We had a conversation. You have to come up here.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Would you state your name, please, for the record?
Yes, Casper Baumann with the Baumann Group. Good evening. We've had several conversations with nonprofits that was referred to us by Newmarket. Sue Sullivan has helped us identify potential tenants for the office space up there, and but we are still looking and trying to finalize.
Okay, so it's good. Well, it's good to know. And I don't need to know, any more detail than that. I know these are, negotiations, but that's good to know. And so I have it right. It's about 500 new square feet that would be office space for the storage facility, and then about 3,700 for a tenant. And that could be one or multiple tenants.
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect. And then you answered the last question, which I always note, this is a pristine location for a PV array on the roof. The fact that it is going to be so low usage, you could get, I think one of the slides said you'll be, below 2035 Berto standards. With enough PV, you could be hovering around 2050 Berto standards. So Nick, I know you feel strongly about this, as I do. Can you talk a little bit about some of the PV array and what that means?
Yeah,
Use as much as we can.
Yeah, so we were prepared for that, Member O'Malley. So the existing building roof itself on the existing building's not available for solar because Verizon has a 75-year exclusive easement and lease for cell tower equipment on the building. That's there now. It's existing.
Presumably that's only 10 or 12 years old. So.
Yeah. So, however, the addition, we have had discussions where with PV solar array, we're hoping to be able to do that, but it is a smaller space because of the footprint.
Understood.
I think we could fit something like a 23 kilowatt array, and a lot of companies are looking for 25 or more to install, so we still have to have those discussions. But as Kevin mentioned, this isn't a residential use. Most of the building's already there. It's storage. It's going to be low impact. We are LEED Gold certifiable, all electric. Everything else we can do, we're
Sure.
doing.
No, it's
if we
impressive.
if we can do the PV, we're going to do it. But we've looked at it, and I think we're on the cusp of whether or not a company is going to be willing to install it or not.
Okay.
The hope is to do it if we can. Yep.
I encourage you to work, as I know you will, incredibly hard to make that happen.
I'll be up there with a
Absolutely,
myself
that'll be good.
to make it work.
Remember your SPF as you're doing it.
100 for me.
That's right. Thanks, Nick. Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you. Through the chair. I guess my question would be for Kevin. As far as the building and the exterior, I saw a little bit of brick still, existing brick in the backside.
There is some existing brick. This building has actually shed its brick through different ways, and one time more recently, just during the acquisition process, the brick ties failed, and that was a brick skin that was added probably fairly poorly in the 60s, and the ties just rusted off from behind. So we thought a lot about what material should be on here, and the sort of insulated panel is sort of solves a lot of the energy issues, but also was very much, I guess, appreciated by the business improvement district that wants to see new modern building materials coming to the district.
Because I did see the sign, the Howard sign on one of the pictures.
Yes, that, some part of it, probably.
At the
in
storage.
Sort of earlier slides, have left some of that brick, but that will be removed during the reinstallation. A new brick will be added, new cavity brick will be added to the bottom of the building.
So it'll be a complete gut rehab, and then with some structural integrity as well.
The building's is built very well. I mean, it was a records storage warehouse, so the structure is as high on a per square foot basis as you would want. We got some comments about why not housing, and that's sometimes people don't understand what Newmarket is and why there isn't housing there. But this building would be very tough to convert to housing because of its deep floor plate. And that is probably true of other uses that could be up there as well. So I understand the issues around self-storage and all that, but they are parts of uses that serve residents in this ever-increasing city,
And have you been speaking with any general contractors for this project?
We have been getting pricing from different contractors on that, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll follow up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
It's a nice transformation. And I know that there's been pressure around housing, and obviously it's not going to work on this property.
Yeah.
But you've done a nice job of transforming this.
Thank you.
I would like to add, it definitely does look amazing, so.
Thank you.
Transformation for the area.
And that's what the plan Newmarket wants to do to this whole sub-district. So we hope that actually this project can start to show an example of other things further into the neighborhood.
Yeah, great. And I do just want to shout out to the memo writer, you, the presentation, on the very concise and clear explanation of why a zoning variance or a modification to the new plan, like all that work that we did into this, it was presented in a way that makes sense what the zoning variance is and why, which I really appreciate, right? So, because obviously we plan, we want to see plans aligned to that, but obviously we're not going to know everything, and so I think it's just a demonstration, really not, it's Norm, just a comment in general, not really a question for you, but like a demonstration of how the planning and development and ecosystem and the zoning code that we have updated around these can still remain like flexible and adaptable to, the development and the needs and the different uses. So, yeah, more just a comment of like, it was clear, and I appreciate it, and it made that comparison that I do in my process in reviewing of like plan versus this, right? So, and that was it made this decision of, when we call the vote of what my vote is to be, it was just an easier one to come to for me. So if there are no other further questions or comments, motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, we got 15 minutes. We'll do another one. Item number 28, request authorization to issue a certification of approval for the proposed development located at 123 North Washington Street pursuant to Article 80E Small Project Review of the Zoning Code for the creation of 45 residential rental units, including 7 inclusionary zoning units. Authorize the director to enter into a pilot agreement for the proposed project, to adopt a demonstration project plan under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 121B, Section 46F for the proposed project, and to authorize the director to accept a quitclaim deed for a certain temporary limited property interest in the project site and to take all related actions. Dylan.
Good evening again, Madam Chair, members of the board, Director Shen, and Secretary Polhemus. Again, my name is Dylan Norris, and I am a project assistant with the Development Review Division of the Planning Department. I am here to present a applicant of the Downtown Office to Residential Conversion Program, the proposed Article 80E small project located at 123 North Washington in the North End neighborhood of Boston, as well as the proposed 121B agreement to effectuate the Downtown Residential Conversion Incentive Pilot Program. On November 24th, 2024, Copper Mill North End LLC applied to the Planning Department's Downtown Conversion Incentive Program. The pilot program was authorized by this board on October 12th, 2023, and offers an approved applicants a tax abatement in exchange for converting their underutilized office into multifamily residential rental units. The October board vote authorized the creation of a demonstration project plan area in downtown Boston where the BPDA is able to act pursuant to Massachusetts General Law Chapter 121B and provide a contract for payment in lieu of taxes pursuant to Chapter 121B. Based on BPDA staff review under Article 80 and the review of the pilot program, the proponent has been selected to receive a pilot agreement. Based on the pilot program criteria, the proponent, upon approval by this board, enter into an agreement among the City of Boston and the BPDA. If approved, they will be provided with an average tax abatement of up to 75% of the assessed residential value for a term of 29 years, terms which are consistent with the October board vote. In order to comply with the rules and regulations under Massachusetts General Law Chapter 121B, the Planning Department and the BPDA must take an interest in the project site. To effectuate this, the BPDA and the owner of 123 North Washington will enter into a deed agreement which conveys limited rights on the 123 North Washington property. Additionally, the owner and the BPDA will enter into an indemnification agreement to ensure that the BPDA does not have any liability on said property. Given that this project falls outside of the current planned demonstration project area, upon approval today, the project site will be adopted into the planned demonstration project area in order to effectuate the tax abatement. On March 3rd, 2025, the BPDA, you can actually go to the next slide, sorry. The BPDA received a small project review application from the proponent. The planning department then hosted a virtual public meeting on April 7th, 2025, which was well attended and well received. The public meeting was advertised in local newspapers and a notice posted to the BPDA's calendar, as well as sent to the North End distribution list. The comment period for this filing closed on April 14th, 2025. Given that the project is outside of the plan demonstration area and requires zoning relief, I will turn it over to my colleague Ted Schwartzberg to go over the zoning context in which the planning department reviewed the project.
Thank you, Dylan. Good evening, Chair Rojas and members of the board. Ted Schwartzberg from the Planning Review Team. I just want to walk you through the nuance of the zoning on this particular project. So starting with the height, I just wanted to point out the 19.5-foot delta between this building's height that it presents at and then its zoning height, which is 19.5 feet lower. And as Dylan's last slide noted, this is in the flood resilience overlay, and that delta accounts for the height beginning at the flood level. And this will be built to comply with the flood resilience overlay zoning. In terms of the floor area ratio, as you'll see in a subsequent slide, there is a little bit of a notch taken out of the building. This was a piece removed historically from the original envelope of the building on the top floor, and that is being filled in to reestablish the historic original envelope of the building, and so that fills out the building's original FAR and height, so those were pre-existing historic conditions that will trigger zoning because it's a change with this project. And then finally, this is triggering a conditional use permit because any alteration to a roof line in this North End district is, while it's a dimensional consideration, it's considered a conditional use, and staff recommends zoning relief for all of these items. Thank you, and I'll now turn it over to the proponent.
Still Dylan. You can go to the next slide. Great. Located on a 7,829 square foot lot on North Washington Street in the North End, Copper Mill LLC is proposing the adaptive reuse and renovation of the existing 5-story office building. You can go to the next slide. The proposal calls for the existing office and retail spaces on floors 1 through 5 to be converted to apartments, specifically rental units. Approximately 500 square feet of restaurant or retail use will remain on the ground floor. You can go to the next slide. As a result of the adaptive reuse, the new net residential total for the building will be approximately 34,500 gross square feet of residential use. The converted building will include 45 rental units, including 27 studios, as well as 18 one-bedroom units. In order to comply with the inclusionary zoning standards, 16.93% of the residential square footage will be for inclusionary zoning units. Therefore, in order to fully satisfy inclusionary zoning requirements, a partial unit payment is due to fully satisfy the requirements, which at this time is estimated to be approximately $12,069. Thank you. This now concludes my presentation. The proponent team is available to answer any questions as related to the project, and we also have the typical floor plates in the appendices. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
Is this a building that used to have a used kitchen supply, restaurant supply place
Mark
on the
Callahan
ground
from
floor?
Copper Mill. Yes, Harbor Food Equipment used to be headquartered in this building.
And a restaurant on one of the upper floors?
That I'm unsure of. I know that Toto used to have a showroom on the ground floor, which is kind of what it was known for as well, a toilet showroom.
Showroom?
The
Toilets.
toilet, yeah,
The
coolest
showroom
toilets.
was there.
Yeah.
There's still some in the basement if anyone's interested.
Well,
I think this building has a fairly interesting history, and I hope that when you do the conversion, you find some ways of memorializing that.
Thank you. We've actually started to dig into that a little bit, and at its inception, it was a candy factory originally, which was then sold to a biscuit company, so that's kind of the early 1900s history. So we're trying to think about ways to incorporate that into the branding and marketing for the apartments.
Yeah, it kind of epitomizes an industry that existed in that area, in those buildings for a very long time. And while you can't preserve the actual culture of what was there, it would be good to recognize it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, reminds me of the leather, I used to live in the leather district, right? But thinking about that, like, you know, living in that space where like, yeah, it was the leather district because they make leather stuff there,
Yeah,
right? Like, so it is really cool. I'm, again, super excited about this. Just out of curiosity, like, what drove you and your team to be like, yep, let's do this pilot program? Like, just tell me a little bit just about kind of how you got to here and your.
Sure. We had been interested in and looking at this building for a while. And then once this program came out, I put a call into John Weil, actually. And from the beginning, he was, you know, just such a champion for the program and, you know, explaining all the potential benefits and pathways and benefits that we could realize to help kind of put this over the finish line, so to speak, because as we all know, the residential conversions are very challenging. So I think the financial, the tax abatement really was a difference maker for it. And we just saw it as a great key to unlock the potential for this building and really reactivate it because it's been pretty empty for a long time.
Yeah, no, great. No, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Congratulations. Good
Thank
luck.
you very much.
Yay. This is the next one. Oh, this is a wee quick one. Item number 29, request authorization to enter into an affordable housing agreement in the connection with the proposed creation of one IDP home ownership unit located at 3 Cedar Square and to take all related actions. Andy?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Director Shen, Secretary Polhemus, and members of the board. I'm Andy Feldman, Housing Policy Manager with the Mayor's Office of Housing. Tonight, I'm here to request your vote on an affordable housing agreement for the proposed development at 3 Cedar Square in Roxbury. This development proposes to build 9 condo units, and while it didn't trigger Article 80 due to its size, the project team is voluntarily restricting 1 unit as income restricted. Therefore, the vote in front of you tonight will allow the agency to enter into an agreement to dedicate this unit under the inclusionary development policy. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? Hearing and seeing none, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call for a vote. Ms. Bennett?
Aye.
Mr. Shepherd?
Aye.
Dr. Landsmark?
Aye.
Mr. O'Malley?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And everyone, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Public hearings will start at 5:30-ish, and we'll see you soon.